what strategies do you have for persuading a partner to kind of meet you halfway without it feeling like the other one is always giving in? Like, say if what happens a lot is like one parent has gotten themselves really educated about stuff and is all up on all the information, all the research, and the other partner may feel like, I always have to do it your way. Any tips or advice for this sort of scenario?
So I think there's a couple of things. The first is the value of asking permission is really, really high. So instead of saying, oh, look, let me tell you what we should do about phones, because I just read this study, and I've read 7 studies all about how kids should use phones. Like, suddenly you're Mr. Know-It-All or Mrs. Know-It-All, and I'm like the ignoramus, right? But if I start that by saying, like, I think this phone stuff is really interesting. Is it okay if I tell you, like, some of the studies I've read? And I'm just curious, like, what you make of them. When I ask your permission to give you information, what I'm doing is 2 things. First of all, instead of forcing you, I'm inviting you. But secondly, what I'm doing is I'm framing that information as, I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Not, I'm the smart one, you're the dumb one, I'm going to tell you the facts, you're going to listen. But rather, I've been exposed, I read this paper, and if you don't mind, I'd love to share it with you, but I want to hear what you think about it. Like, because you are as legitimate an interpreter of this research as I am. And we're equals in this conversation. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I would say is that when we are in those situations, it's really important to understand what the goal of a conversation is, right? If I come into a conversation and I think I already have the answers, that's not actually I'm not really looking for a conversation. What I'm looking for is for you to, like, agree with me. And that's probably unlikely if it's a tough subject. So the goal of a conversation is not to convince you that I'm right and you're wrong, or I know more than you, or I'm smart, or you should like me, or you should be impressed. The goal of a conversation is to understand how the other person sees this issue and to speak in such a way that they can understand you. And even if you walk away from that conversation still disagreeing with each other, even if I say, I'm going to vote for my guy, you're going to vote for your guy, and but if I understand why you like your candidate and you understand why I like my candidate, we're going to feel closer to each other. And frankly, we're going to find a lot of things that we do agree on.
Yeah, I think this would be a great way to also frame, like, a conversation with the previous generation, about parenting, or the
Yes.
way you're raising your kids or doing things differently, and I have some information here, I wonder what you think about this, right? Like, inviting their
Absolutely.
input rather than just completely holding a boundary